ve por la paellera, venga, que a las 2 de la tarde ya están aquí. Miren, bañador, en las chanclas, todo despeinado porque no me dio tiempo nada ponerme las chanclas y el bañador. Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. Eso.
Hi and welcome to the Delivery Manager Daily YouTube channel. This is episode 35 or 36. I need to get better at knowing what episode it is, but in this episode we're going to talk on a couple of things: what a delivery manager is, and then we're going to move into some of the characteristics and skills that you'll need to be a really good one. On something that I've talked about before and realised that I've talked about internally and wanted to just bring the conversation to my blog and podcast. So I do these videos and things, and I'm quite conscious that you might be thinking, well, what is a delivery manager? What is that? And I talk about people wanting to get into delivery management and talk about agile, but actually what do I do? And the joke is that when I'm asked what I do, I often struggle to explain it in a way that's succinct, so I end up just saying I work in tech or that kind of thing. So I wanted to just explain what a delivery manager is, so that's what I'm going to do in this short video. So what is a delivery manager? Well, it's kind of like a project manager. I manage, and digital delivery managers typically manage the delivery of complex software and technology focused projects for clients in both the public and the private sector. So my job is to deal with the end-to-end life cycle of a project. It could be the bid itself, it could be coordinating the pre-sale engagement, it could be mobilising a team to do the work, understanding the work by running discoveries, and discoveries are really important parts of projects to understand what the client's asking for versus what they actually need, and being able to synthesise that into a contract and a scope of work. I can then be on the team itself, carrying out the role of a scrum master or an agile lead or a typical general project manager to manage time, budget, cost, expenses, all that kind of stuff. Or I can be very nuanced and specific to agile, so I could be a scrum master, or I could be working on a project that leverages the SAFe framework. Maybe I'm heading up one of the agile release trains, so I'm dealing with running all the agile events to get a mixed economy team together to do estimation, backlog prioritization, task estimation, getting all that into a task management tool like Jira or Azure DevOps, and then deploying that and running the stand-ups and making sure that progress is happening and that we're monitoring work in progress, that kind of thing, using Kanban, for example, and doing that week to week, doing the status updates, the project reports, letting the client and the internal teams know how we're going, are we making progress, have we got any issues, blockers, managing risk, managing a typical RAID log. So that's risks, assumptions, issues, dependencies, and decisions as well. So it's RAID with a double D for me. There are so many ways of managing it, but I like a good old-fashioned spreadsheet. And day to day, that's typically what I'll do. Then there's the pastoral element of the management of the team too. So the teams might be struggling with a particular thing, they might be struggling with each other, there might be politics, there might be operational complexities. Consultancy is really complicated, right, as I've talked about before. So often I'll be at the centre of any kind of conflict and helping to kind of smoothen that out and understand what people need and enabling them and hopefully empowering them to get the things that they need to do done. Ultimately, all the responsibility falls on a delivery manager's shoulders as well for the success of the project or the failure of it or how it's going. So it's really important that that communication funnel between the team and the client and the consultancy organisation that you work for, and making sure that communication's really clear. So those are the kinds of key things that I do on a day-to-day basis as a delivery manager. In between that, I run a community of practice, as I've said. So if you're getting into delivery management, hopefully you'll be able to kind of scale up what you do to manage more than one project, even though context switching isn't ideal, because we're not very good at it as human beings really. But managing maybe one or two projects at portfolio level and enabling teams to just get on with the day-to-day. Maybe you're a coach or mentor too to other delivery managers and helping them grow and flourish and nurture themselves to kind of be as good as they can be. And that fills up a typical week. Other things a delivery manager does in terms of my role, or a typical role, is to go and work with other departments within the business and making sure that we build on that community of practice, and that our delivery managers have the things that they need to be able to do their jobs, whether that's training or pastoral support, making sure that there's a bit of a framework in place to allow people to come on to the journey of being a delivery manager within our own organisation, and signposting them to training and guidance and certifications to help them get better, whether that's formal certifications across cloud and technology, whether it's agile specific certifications like Nexus or Scrum or anything else. So my job is to help kind of coordinate that and make sure that that's readily available for all our DMs. And I tend to do that as a independent too, right? So I'm more than happy to provide advice and guidance for people that are either watching the videos or watching and listening to the blogs. But the idea is, and it's that community of practice thing, which if you, I think the link will be up there somewhere to the communities of practice video. I'm really passionate about going into an organisation and setting that up. And that's making sure that you've given that kind of opportunity for either an individual project success or a team success by setting up all the environment and everything needed within it for people to succeed. So a delivery manager is a lot more than what I think sometimes it's transposed as a project manager, and you're just sitting there in front of a Gantt chart following the waterfall gates week to week to see if you're moving from left to right, and then raising any issues with a senior executive team and then blaming everyone else as to why it's not working. I'm not suggesting all project managers do that, but I think that project management is steeped and in that mire of kind of, well, a project manager just walks around with a clipboard saying, when is it done, when is it done? A delivery manager and someone working in high technology, there's a lot more to it. So these kinds of things are the types of things that you might expect to do day to day if you're coming into delivery management. Maybe you'll start off as a scrum master, going into a team and just organising a small team around you to do a few sprints. That'll hopefully get you managing multiple scrum teams, and then maybe running the retrospectives as well. Retrospectives are really important to understand failure points, and also to be able to just reflect over the last sort of couple of weeks and just see where you can improve. One of the things that people don't often do is then take those improvement points and actually put them into the next sprint. So therefore your retrospectives become a bit of a talking shop, and you'll typically have post-it notes on a board somewhere, whether it's a virtual board or a physical one, and nothing ever gets done. So the retrospectives form part of a eye-rolling kind of, oh, well, we do this because we have to do this, but nothing really happens. So a good delivery manager is also responsible and should take the output from those retrospectives and funnel that in to the next few sprints to make sure that improvement points are implemented and executed, and then they're measured to see if things get better. The end game is, of course, that what makes you different from a bad project manager or a bad delivery manager is that you actually carry out action on the things that the teams have gone to the effort to talk about. That then in turn builds trust, and you create this kind of self-referencing loop of ethics and behaviour and direction and commitment and passion and trust. And all these things help galvanise the team again, which I talk about in the Communities of Practice video. And then that enables your team to get better, and a well-performing, well-oiled team, a delivery manager can often put their hands up a little bit and say, I helped with a little bit of that. And that's one of the biggest kind of rewards for being a DM. So really short video, but that's what a delivery manager is. That's kind of what I do. The projects that I work on work across verticals, so finance or healthcare or startups or industry, automotive, public sector services, that kind of thing. And I'll go into projects at different levels dependent on what the project needs. I like to start from afresh, so a greenfield project where the project's not yet kicked off, and you do a discovery to understand what the client needs and actually wants. Sometimes I go into projects and manage an existing team or an existing statement of work and try and take that project through to the end. Or anything in between. Sometimes you parachuted in to deal with conflict, a project's gone awry, a team isn't performing, an incumbent vendor isn't delivering on its service level agreement, and you to go in and assess that, what is often a complex environment, and understand what improvements need to be made. Sometimes it's a transformation project, so it's more about people and process as much as it is the technology. Sometimes it's good old-fashioned technology, and it could be migrating a company to use cloud services rather than their in-house IT department, or it may be rebuilding how they work via a new operating model, or anything in between. So there's a lot of kind of PowerPoint decks, a lot of good communication, but that's what a delivery manager is. And that's really important because in the next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about what makes a good agile consultant, some of the things that you're likely to need to be really good at as you develop your career. for listening and watching. And if you're on the socials, follow me on Twitter at MarioDC. Go to the blog. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video too. It really help as I do more and more, hopefully get better at them. You can follow me on Twitter at MarioDC, Delivery Manager Daily, all over the internet, and listen to the podcast too, because hopefully in 2023, which we're in, I think we're on, we're going to have some guests on too. So thanks for watching.